Clauses 7 to 19 concern forestry. The government is exploring a new approach to ownership and the management of woodlands and forests, with a reduced role for the state and a bigger role for individuals, businesses, civil society organisations and local authorities. I wish to assure the House that this government will not compromise the protection of our most valuable and biodiverse forests, including our historic woodlands. Measures will remain to preserve and enhance the vital public benefits which our forests provide. The government will consult widely on its future plans and invite views from a wide variety of stakeholders. Clauses
My Lords, the committee's report is one of the most devastating critiques of the government bill that I have ever seen a committee of this House to deliver. I am sure that distinguished members of the committee who are down to speak in today's debate will detail the committee's report. I would, however, for a moment just like to quote one of its most compelling conclusions. It is as follows. The Public Bodies Bill strikes at the very heart of our constitutional arrangements, being a type of framework or enabling legislation that drains the lifeblood of legislative amendment and debate across a very broad range of public arrangements. In particular, it hits directly at the role of this House as a revising chamber. In the Royal Forest of Dean, an area of great beauty, history and heritage. I live there still. Foresters are immensely proud of their ancient rights and traditions, but also of the environment, the flora and fauna, and of our contribution to being part of the solution to the problem of climate change. The forest is both protected and well managed, but it is also a place where people have free access to walk, picnic, ride, swim in the ponds. My Lords, Clause 17.2 enables the Secretary of State, by order, to amend the Forestry Act 1967 to modify the purposes or objective or conditions by which the Forestry Commission disposes of land, manages and uses it, or lets or grants rights or interests over it. The Secretary of State may exercise such a function for any purpose and unconditionally. Chilling words, my Lords. It would appear that this allows the Secretary of State to order the disposal of any Forestry Commission land in England or its use for some other purpose. It is hard to conceive why ministers want such draconian powers, unless it is the government's intention to dispose of much or all of the Forestry Commission's land. I have no idea why the government would wish to do that, and perhaps the noble Lord the Minister could tell us. Ministers may speak about the big society as on the DEFRA website. My Lords, I am in favour of the good society, but I do not want my forest or the other woodlands and forests that are so well managed and cared for by the Forestry Commission at a cost to the exchequer of a mere £10 million last year to be sold off. Mrs Thatcher's government, in accepting amendments to the Forestry Bill of 1981, recognised, and I quote, "The Forest of Dean is unique and that its land should not be sold off, except surplus cottages, small areas of the waste of the forest and the like, which will be sold as in the past. But there will be no power to sell significant areas of forest land. My Lords, I will do everything in my power to ensure that this situation continues." Friends of my local MP, who is a government minister, is clearly supporting the bill, criticise my support for the Forest of Dean because I am against a corporate buyout of the Forest of Dean. My Lords, I am none of these things. The forests of this country are and must continue to be a national asset where trees are managed, biodiversity protected and public rights of access continue in perpetuity. If they are sold off with the weak voluntary safeguards mentioned in the bill, how can quality of access, management of the land, biodiversity and habitat be guaranteed for our future generations? My Lords, on the second point about how the government is proposing to do what it seeks to do, the government is proposing through this bill a fundamental shift in who controls these bodies. It's not to be Parliament, my lords, but ministers. The whole scheme, and a skeleton scheme at that, is built upon the government's supposition that it is better to have a process where the ministers make the decision about the life or death of an arm's-length body and fast-track the parliamentary process. As the Select Committee points out, the issues raised by this approach transcend politics and go to the heart of Parliament's role in scrutinising legislation and deciding whether fundamental government proposals in respect of these bodies should be enacted into law.
My Lords, I beg to move the amendment standing in my name on the order paper. Well, my Lords, we've had an extensive debate, and I know that the House will now want to come to a speedy conclusion. My Lords, the noble Lord Taylor has said he has listened carefully to the debate, and he certainly promised to bring amendments to enhance public consultation and enhance public scrutiny. But, my Lords, these undertakings are unspecific, insufficient and imprecise. My Lord, I believe that this bill will be better informed and immeasurably improved by going through a select committee process. And my Lord, far from delaying the bill, I am convinced that in fact at the end of the day the noble Lord will get a better bill, and actually a bill that will be produced through this House in quicker time. My Lords, he has not met all the constitutional concerns that have been raised tonight. He has said nothing about costs and savings. He has not agreed to put safeguards into a new clause at the beginning of the bill. He has not said that the government will agree to the super affirmative procedure. He has not given a guarantee to take the judicial bodies mentioned by the noble and learned Lord Wolfe out of Schedule 7. My Lords, the Minister has not responded to the concerns raised in this House by many, many members. My Lords, I beg to move.
The contents will go to the right by the throne, the not contents to the left by the bar.